and that is Congressmember Adriano Espaillat, who represents the area in Congress, and he too has been a champion for funding. Thanks to the investments we made in our bipartisan infrastructure law, Second Avenue Subway has now received the largest capital investment grant in the history of the program, of the CIG program. So these are no longer...
Troops burned tires, poisonous chemicals, and human waste.
We owe you. You're the backbone, you're the steel, you're the sinew, you're the very fiber that makes this country what it is. This law is long overdue, but we finally got it done together.
The issue's personal for the president. His son, Bo, died of brain cancer years after serving in Iraq.
There is breaking news. You actually could qualify for a one-time direct deposit. So many Americans are ready to receive this much-needed stimulus check. Several states have already approved a new plan that will affect the cost of the pump. And now the residents of Colorado can expect to start the new year off strong, thanks to a payment they'll receive at the end of the year. This cashback program will give taxpayers who filed their taxes by October a payment of $750. This is a huge stimulus check that will help out so many people, because the payment will be for state residents who filed an extension. The first round of payments was for people who had filed their 2021 taxes by June 30th, which were paid to residents by September 30th. To be eligible for this payment, residents of the Centennial State must be 18 or older, and be residents of Colorado for the entire 2021. Stand to lose some policy enactment. The Congressional Budget Office report stated that there are 5 main issues right now with Social Security. And the first is that Social Security has a spending problem. Social Security will only be able to pay out 2% tax, and the program promised to take never more than 6% of a worker's paycheck. Today it takes 12%, and even that falls short of the program's ever-rising cost. The Congressional Budget Office projects that Social Security's cost will increase by 42% of the next 75 years, as its revenues remain stable. Protecting Social Security requires reining in on the excessive cost growth, and actually means benefit cuts of 23%. Current law requires that Social Security benefits come from within the program, so once fund draw runs dry, Social Security will only be able to pay as much as benefits as it receives in taxes. That will mean a roughly $5,000 cut in annual benefits for a typical retiree, and about $4,000 less for the average disability beneficiary. Congressional Budget Office also stated that as of right now, anyone who is 65 or older will not reach today's Social Security retirement age. That's before the age of money runs out. Also, anyone who is currently below the ages of 57 and 107 today, who is still alive and collecting benefits in 2033, will be subject to benefit cuts. It's also predicted that younger workers have the most to lose in benefits. Because if policymakers fail to act and benefit cuts begin in 2033, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that people born in 1970 will experience a 26% reduction, and those born in the 80s and 90s will receive a 27% reduction. It's preventing insolvency to tax increases. It will require 18% tax roll, and now the Congressional Budget Office says that maintaining Social Security scheduled benefits for the next 75 years would require an immediate increase in Social Security payroll tax from 12 to 17%. This would mean $12,000 in Social Security taxes for the median household. Now, the bill has also enhanced the federal Medicaid matching funds, and during this unwinding, millions of people are expected to lose coverage, and that could reverse recent gains in coverage too. While the number of Medicaid enrollees may be disenrolled during the unwinding period is highly uncertain, experts estimate between 7.8 and 24 million people could lose Medicaid coverage this year alone. Folks, the lawmakers are taking action. Billions of federal aid are being used towards new relief payments, and a one-time direct check worth $100,000 will be deposited. This is necessary action as millions of Americans continue to struggle due to the crisis. And while the federal government is dealing with a debt crisis, many local states have a cash surplus and rainy day funds. As a result, 27 states are considering cutting taxes or eliminating them altogether. According to the National Association of State Budget Officers, there has been 2 short years of widespread budget surpluses amid recent state policy. The Institution of Taxation and Economic Policy suggests that many states have now tax cut fever and are looking at offering property tax cuts, rebate checks, and reducing the amount of income taxes paid. In the case of Mississippi and Arkansas, cutting state income tax altogether is their plan. But CBS has noted that there are a number of reasons that state lawmakers have provided for the move. It includes making their states more economically competitive, boosting their growth, and boosting taxpayers who are struggling with inflation. For instance, the Georgia governor signed a bill that would give people in Georgia state income tax refunds. That means you can get up to $500 in your bank account for just owning a home. Single taxpayers and filers married jointly who will get $500 and $250 too as well. And head of household filers will get $375, and married people who file joint returns will get an additional $500 based on individual or couple's tax liability.
That we felt confident our resources could last until the beginning of June.
Okay. All right, I'm going to move on. I did reclaiming my time. I did read the statements. You had said June 1st or the following weeks, at which then tightened up, and that's fine. That's not what we're here today about.
We're rebuilding America. We're going to invest in America and build a better America than we found. And for the better part of the 20th century, we used to lead the world by a significant margin, because we invested in ourselves.
Exciting news. More and more states are in the process of approving inflation relief checks. The House and the Senate lawmakers are continuing to work together to finally reach a deal on a new stimulus payment to be sent to the people. Even people in some states have agreed to more stricter requirements in order to qualify for this relief. And now, over 2 years ago, as more businesses shuttered and unemployment rates soared, while the federal government realized that the crisis just had to send the money back into the people. What this means, folks, is that driven by a surge in oil and gas production, New Mexico is expected to rake in as much as $3.6 billion in new money for the state's upcoming budget year. That major increase might bring another round of tax rebate or even economic stimulus to the people of New Mexico. The governor has also said to be urging lawmakers to use chunks of the one-time payment and oil revenue to go to the people to go to those in need. A spokeswoman of the governor's office told reporters that the governor is looking for rebates in the ballpark of $750 to $1,500 per jointly filing couple. Yes, that means you'll be getting a stimulus of around $1,000 to the people. What this means, folks, is that this type of package could be ultimately $1 billion. $1 billion of stimulus cash, and the fine details would ultimately need to be hammered out and passed by the state, which is slated to reconvene for a 60-day session in the middle of January. And so now the governor has also signed a new relief program for the state of Minnesota. Also signed his bill in 2023. The bill is set to simplify tax filing, save money for hundreds of thousands, and also include people with student loans and companies that receive the crisis aid. It brings Minnesota's tax code into conformity with federal tax rules. It is also one of the several that legislative leaders have fast-tracked since convening last week, with Democrats now controlling the chambers of Congress. So now the tax conformity bill has sailed through the Senate, sailed through the House with unanimous support. It amounts to over a $100 million tax cut. It's retroactive. So